Friday. I hope this is up and running. There's still the chat from yesterday on the side. Excuse me, guys. Okay, we should be good. Hello. Drop in the comments, say hello if you're out there. There we go. Michelle from North Carolina. She's always the first on. I appreciate it. You're here every single day. Hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody. All right. I just got back from a little field trip. Friday the 13th. Yes. There's way more to 13 than people realize. We were told that it's unlucky, all that other stuff, but not the case. 13 families. Good morning from Phoenix, Arizona. Good morning, Heather on Facebook. Hello, hello. So an exciting thing just happened to me. Like I said, we just got back from a little field trip with our son, and I had a tick crawling on me. So done, handled, piece of tape, took it off. Hello from Michigan. So that was exciting. So somebody asked me the other day what more I do with my son. So whether it be like the unschooling or supplements, that type of stuff. So I thought I'd talk about that today because I've been so busy this morning that yeah, I definitely was creeped out. I mean, I don't think I'll ever fully be what's the word I'm looking for? Never fully be okay with ticks as a hunter and stuff. Obviously, had them on socks and like pant legs and stuff, but this one was crawling right here. My husband noticed it. I freaked out because obviously I didn't want it to get in my hairline, and I was like, check the rest of me, So checked our son, everything like that. So but it was a cool overall experience. We went to this little math and science center in our neighborhood, which honestly, I mean, I don't know what math there is, and as far as science, it's really just nature. That's my kind of science because that's what I teach my son. Yesterday we went out on I took the littlest one out on a walk for a little bit, just trying to get her to take a nap during the day because she's to this point where she's very, very good about sleeping at night, but she does not want to nap during the day. She fights her sleep during the day. So yeah, took her for a walk, and then later went out for another walk with my son. He got a scooter, and so we went out for a walk. And I have a beautiful river that I'm very close to, so we try to go look at the ducks and that type of stuff. But well, I'll go into what we did today. So we went to this math and science center, and anybody can go to this thing. They had it set up to where families, co-ops or whatever could go today. And they actually gave him this, which is pretty cool. This is literally like right up our alley. I'm sure that you could probably like Amazon, Google this, whatever. Try to find something, but it shows different stuff. And so this will now be a workbook because basically today we did Rumble it's a pain in the butt because you have to like log into Rumble, get a key code, and all this other stuff. Sorry. It's very hard. It constantly like turns off with the streaming service. So I apologize that it's not on Rumble. With Dr. Dean being out, it hasn't been the easiest for me to do all the tech stuff. But anyway, so we got this book. Pretty cool. Easy things for him to do. There's things such as coloring. There's, word jumbles and color by numbers and patterns in nature, all this different stuff. But so when we were out on our nature walk, because they had a huge trail along the harbor and there's some wetlands and stuff out there, they actually gave us like this little scavenger hunt thing. So like just a few of the things that are on here are find an animal track, find a bug, an animal's home, a leaf bud on a tree, a bird nest, something in the water, birds singing a song, animals that can't fly, and a duck. And then it says to draw a picture of each one. So we did. But we use this as a learning experience. So animals that can't fly. Now this place does have beavers, which is very cool. If I can bring up the pictures, I will show you guys. I took some really freaking cool. Like some of like these huge trees had where you could see beavers nod, like almost they're gnawing all around it, and eventually it'll fall because of them gnawing on it. But anyway, so animals that can't fly, for example, we're looking around for like beavers and deer and stuff like that. Didn't see any of them because obviously it's hot out during the day and usually they come out at dusk type of thing. And so we saw some turtles. So one of the things that I do is I just turn everything into a question. Have my son answer those type of things. I see turtles and I said, okay, now where do turtles live? Do turtles have wings? Can they fly? Obviously this is for younger kids, but somebody asked me specifically what I do with my son. So that's the type of things that I will do. Something in the water. Okay, there's obvious fish in the water, which we did see. We did draw on our little thing, but we also drew turtles and stuff there, and we talked about what other things could be living in the water. One of the biggest things with my son, he notices trash everywhere, which is not a good thing. Obviously, we don't want our world littered, and this isn't, climate crisis talk. This is we need to take better care of our earth because it is becoming a wasteland, but not for the reasons that they say, simple things like excuse me, simple things like sunscreen. Most of the sunscreens out there not only have terrible ingredients for yourself, but they're also hurting the coral reefs. And the coral reefs cannot like reproduce fast enough. And eventually we might not have these coral reefs anymore just because of these ingredients that are in sunscreens and stuff washing into the ocean. So that's a huge problem. But trash is something like, we don't want our whole world to be a landfill. We already have enough landfills. I get, we're going to have garbage with the packaging and everything that things come in. But just on our walk yesterday, my son stopped at every single piece of trash, seeing styrofoam on the side of the sidewalk. There was some pieces of glass. Obviously, I told him not to touch those. We picked up what we could, and I told him today we'll go back out with a garbage bag and collect more. But when we're on this nature walk, they had these ponds and like wetlands, and it's off of a harbor and stuff. And, he sees trash floating in the water. There was like a piece of styrofoam like you would buy like grocery store meat on, floating on top of the water, fast food packaging. And I actually made a Facebook post about the other day with paper straws. I hate paper straws. I almost always have a reusable straw of some sort, carry some in my purse, and while I'm not sitting here like is it a problem that we use plastic straws? Yes, it is. However, I absolutely hate paper straws. They get soggy, they don't work. And the same people that push these paper straws are the same people that have been littering their nasty masks for the last 2 years. It drives me nuts. I'll see masks everywhere. I cut my grass yesterday, and there was a paper mask on my grass that my mower ran through. That's not from us, you know? When Tim and I when Michigan was still on lockdown, I think it was, 2021, early 2021, Ohio opened up. So we had a date night, went down to Ohio, and, they have a mall there and all their restaurants and stuff were open, and we saw so many masks on the ground, you know, in the parking lots and stuff. It's so just wanna put that out there. My son notices all that trash, and it's good that he does, and it's good that he doesn't want to, the world be like that. He has a heart of gold. But, like, this is the type of stuff we can all do to take care of the earth. Um, but back to what I do with my son. So, as we're on our walks and stuff, I just tend to ask tons of questions or point things out. So, I don't necessarily go into, oh, what kind of tree is that? Is that an oak? Is that a maple? I don't even know most of those things. I can point out poison ivy, poison oak, that type of stuff. But like today on our walk, we came across a tree that had beautiful little purple flowers on it, beautiful little white flowers on it. And at the age of 5, that is absolutely fine to be like, oh, look at that. And then my son is so smart that we picked one of the white flowers and he goes, oh, is there nectar on this? Is a bee going to be attracted to it? It You'd be amazed at how smart these kids are, just learning and getting into nature. So as we're looking for beavers and stuff like that, here, I'm gonna pull up some of the pictures. Hopefully it'll work. I really want to show you guys one of the beaver photos. Let me see if it'll open it. Oh man, hold on. Sorry guys. No, it's not going to let me show you. Dang it. I'm sorry. Okay, so as we're walking, we see all these logs and stuff that have been gnawed on by these beavers. I guess they have a lot of beavers out there. Like I said, we didn't see any, but we definitely saw their territory and their habitat. Taught my son what a habitat is. Taught him, that they build dams and stuff like that. And that's what we were looking out for. We were looking out for all these we were looking out for all these things. And people can do this type of stuff even without this. This was a planned field trip. However, you can go into nature trails and do this type of thing. We were looking for animal tracks. So we found 2 different kinds. They're obviously ducks and stuff like that, but we were able to spot some deer tracks. And one very cool thing is we found a skeleton. Well, it wasn't a full skeleton, but we found this huge piece of bone. So we sat there, cleaned the dirt and stuff off of it, and we didn't know what it was at first. We took it back to the center. They said that it was a part of like a really big fish, like a carp or something like that. And we found that along the water side, so that makes sense. Plus, I know it sounds gross, but we also identified animal poop. So, and that's the whole point. most people are overcomplicating school. Something as simple as a walk can turn into a lesson of, this, and this. My son identified bugs today. He identified different animals' habitats. We identified, different kinds of trees, but not like their actual names and stuff like that. Um, a bird's nest versus squirrel's nest, and just, different animals. What did that bird have on it? Do you think that bird swims just like the geese and stuff do? So that's why I wanted to talk about it. Not only did somebody ask me what I do with my son, but you know, unschooling I see so often, and I understand that I showed you guys a curriculum. There is some stuff that's out of my wheelhouse that won't come up in a regular conversation with my son, like the Constitution books and stuff like that. But you definitely don't need to have you don't have to have a curriculum. So, like Adina just said, finding scat is actually kind of cool. Um, we did find some stuff, and I noticed like I want to say it was geese poop, for example, and it was like mostly grass. So you ask your kid, "Oh, what do you think that they were eating?" and that type of stuff. Um, it's a really easy way to learn. I break absolutely everything down, and I wrote a blog about this, but I don't think it's posted. Um, so absolutely everything. When we're cooking, I have my son measure things. I have my son, this is the difference between, say, sugar and salt. I've had him look in a little magnifying glass at the different crystalline structures of it. Just all that type of stuff can be taught. And while it's not like an everyday lesson, he definitely learns way more by just doing stuff with me than he would sitting in a classroom. My son is ridiculously smart, as are all of your kids, if you just cater to their actual, I don't want to say desires, cater to their interests and actually just go from there. When my son wants to bake a cake, is it inconvenient sometimes? Yes. Do we even eat the cake? Usually not. However, when we, bake a cake, there's so much stuff to learn there. Whether it be the measuring of the stuff, like I said, the different salt and sugar at different temperatures on how to do the oven and all this other stuff. What makes, the cake rise, and definitely science lessons everywhere you look. Our nature's just full of science. So we who have been through the system have to unschool. Yeah. And I've definitely learned that, because when I first started with all this, let me grab it. Sorry, guys. When I first started with all this, it was, okay, am I going to sit him down, do workbooks all the time? Do we do workbooks sometimes? Yes, because there is stuff that he needs to learn that he's not going to be well at, and if he doesn't practice. So writing letters and stuff, for example, I have stuff like these wipe clean books. They're awesome for on the road and all that other stuff, but this is just tracing of the letters. Obviously, M is for monkey. And like I said, this is very basic, very young, but you should start young. I think that it's going to be a lot harder if you were to take a high schooler out and have to unteach them. As all of us are learning, most of the stuff we were taught was wrong. So, like, so I pick up these books. Do I sit my son down to do them all the time? No, because like I said, he's learning lessons in absolutely everything that he does. Picked a flower today. We could literally sit there and dissect the flower of all the different parts. What's the stem? What part has the pollen on it? Where's the petals? I learned that in biology class. I don't know about you guys, but it's everything can be a lesson. So, yeah, labels on ingredients is a huge one, and I'm still learning that. That is a huge thing for me to even learn. And there's ingredients in everything. So, once you start to learn like what ingredients and stuff are bad, I'm not this picky, but it can attribute to behaviors and stuff. If your kid is wearing like those dry fit clothes, those clothes can be toxic. If you're wearing plastic shoes like Crocs and flip-flops, those can leach into the body. Most of those are like recycled diapers and stuff that those are made out of. And the same way we wouldn't want our kids wearing them on their faces, yes, it also um, drops their oxygen levels for masks and stuff. We also don't want those chemicals leaching into them. So it's very important to learn that type of stuff. And like I said, I'm still learning ingredients that are bad. Obviously, I know sugar, lactose, glucose, dextrose, all that type of stuff. But there's still so many out there that I can't even pronounce that I learn every single day, which is why I have apps like that Think Dirty and all this other stuff. Um, we have those apps. Well, I have those apps to where I can scan them and actually learn what each and every one does. And there's so many greenwash companies out there. I've talked about this before. Um, Aveeno says natural on it, all natural. Somebody gave me an Aveeno gift set for Christmas, and I won't use it because it's not all natural. It's also made by Johnson and Johnson. We know that they're not good. Somebody posted the other day on the Noble Patriot page about Tylenol attributing to autism. I said, well, it's not necessarily the Tylenol. Tylenol is not good. It backs up the liver. But Tylenol is also made by Johnson and Johnson. What is the number one thing when you got your kid vaccinated before you woke up? What was the number one thing the doctor told you to give him? I don't really go by the ratings on Think Dirty. I literally go underneath the ingredients and break down absolutely everything that they show. So I don't necessarily go by the ratings, and I know that they do push like Black-owned businesses, which great. Support Black-owned businesses. Support everybody's business if you can. However, you don't want to um you don't want to just shop by that type of stuff. So I definitely know. Just found out Monday that Miss Myers is owned by a big corp. Yes. So I looked that up back when that Grove collection stuff is all over all over Facebook, all over Twitter, like, all these ads and stuff for it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna look up this company. Their fragrances and even Dr. Bronner's. Dr. Bronner's is great, clean for the most part, Castile soap, but you have to look at each individual different type. So, like lavender is a huge one. So many companies put that lavender is natural. So many. That is not they put fragrance into it. It's not all natural. So, that's definitely a big one. Somebody said, when I grew up, I was a Girl Scout. It taught me a lot of good things. So when my daughters were young, they were Girl Scouts and I was a leader. We had day camp and field trips. We actually took plaster of Paris and poured it into the deer tracks. That does sound like fun. I was actually thinking about making those stepping stones and stuff with him soon. Not only for him and his daughter, or him and my daughter's handprints and footprints, but I thought that it would be a cool thing to do with his different dinosaurs and different dinosaur tracks. So, when I was a Girl Scout, which I think it's now just Scouts. I could be wrong. There is Girl Scouts still. However, I think Boy Scouts is just Scouts because, the woke mafia had to change it. But I'll be honest, when the woke mafia went after it, I said, I don't blame them because when I grew up in Girl Scouts, I did not learn we went camping, but I didn't learn how to build a fire. We went on like a nature walk and, this is poison ivy, that's poison oak, that type of stuff. But I didn't learn archery. I remember my brother building the soapbox cars and the sailboats and all this other stuff, and I thought that stuff was so cool. My dad would, you know, whittle it down with him, figure out the weights and stuff of how to build these cars and what'll go the fastest while being under a certain weight by the rules and all this other stuff. Those type of things were so cool to me. So therefore, I was jealous of the Boy Scouts. Did I learn archery later in life? Yes, but I could have been very, very good if I had learned earlier. So I remember going, now the Girl Scout stuff is important too, though. However, I remember going there and it being like, oh my gosh, this is so 1950s. Now I was in the school system, so obviously I didn't look at those like skills and stuff that I should know, but I remember going camping and we learned how to sew. We made these seats and stuff for around the campfire, 2 pieces of fabric stuffed with newspaper, sew around the edges. So I learned how to sew. I learned how to cook and I learned how to clean up after cooking and all this other stuff that I literally was like I said, this is so 1950s. I remember a lady coming into my Girl Scouts group. She sold Mary Kay and taught us how to apply that toxic makeup and, what's better for our skin and all this other stuff. Obviously, none of it's good. Um, but I was so jealous of my brother because, I mean, I've always been somewhat of a tomboy, but would I have loved to actually learn how to start a fire using a 2 pieces of wood to create a coal and, getting dry grass and all that type of stuff. I think that stuff is pretty cool. So it might depend on the troop. And I know that here in Michigan, there's not a whole lot to do because it's only like an annual type of thing. So when you go camping, like I said, but just it was very like I said, 1950s. Now, do I love taking care of my family? I cook, I clean. Yes, I do. Those were all skills that I appreciate learning, but I wanted to learn more of the nature aspect of stuff. I was like I said, I feel like the boys learned more um skills in a way that could actually do more. The girls were kind of being taught how to almost be a stay-at-home mom, which there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. I'm also a stay-at-home mom. However, the guys could take that carpentry skill and, if they were really into it, go into a career with it and that type of stuff. So I do think that those type of things are really good. People talk a lot about with homeschooling, like, how does your kid socialize? Don't they miss? My kid talks to me constantly. My kid calls us grandma every single day. Does he need to socialize with other kids? Yeah, we have friends with other kids. We hang out with them. But not only that, we just signed my son up for swim lessons. Our local Y had swim lessons and stuff, and that's something he loves doing and he really needs to learn. He's constantly asking to take his life jackets and stuff off. We were just at a pool last weekend and he kept asking to take off the life jacket, and he doesn't realize how much he relies on that life jacket. So while he does somewhat know to swim, there's times when he just stops and he's floating. He doesn't realize that. So we signed him up for lessons. I love beauty counter makeup, just so you know, Michelle. um, that's a good company. So just wanted to talk about this type of stuff. Don't overthink all this stuff. You don't have to sit down and do math for 2 hours a day or 45 minutes a day. My son, one of our biggest things for math, obviously, adding and subtracting is what a 5-year-old should be doing. I'm not trying to teach him long-term division and all this other stuff. Hold on a second. Our biggest thing is Legos. So if I have 4 Legos and, we count the dots on the top. So that's our way of doing it. So In order to like match one, how many do we need to add to the other one in order, to make this same type of square, That's what we do with Legos. And as he gets older, Legos are an awesome thing for fractions. So as we're just playing, this is what we do. Um Coloring, for example, we have, you know, normal, these might be toxic. Don't yell at me. I have never looked into crayons and their toxicity. However, when we're putting crayons back, sometimes he wants to do them by color. But we even count like, okay, how many can we fit in each of these little divider things? Is that too much? Okay, can we fit one in another one? Count how many that one has. All little math lessons. I let my son help me make coffee in the morning. We measure how much coffee. Yeah, their sunscreen is very, very good. I like their sunscreen. So my cousin sells it, so I've been using it for a while. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, just go all natural. I like makeup. Just make sure you don't have toxic makeup. But this is definitely, there's so many life lessons to learn. I wish that could show you guys the pictures from today. They had tanks with some turtles and some tortoises that were awesome. So what was really funny is we got to feed the turtles. Now we were feeding them all natural stuff. We had strawberries, blueberries, tortoises love the bananas, and then we also had worms. And my son asked if he could feed them a worm. They handed him the worm and he freaked out because it started moving. And he goes, "This is real." And I was like, "Yes, it's a real worm. That is what turtles would eat in the wild." But it definitely, he got over it. He got used to it. Plan to take him fishing. So he's gonna have to get used to worms and stuff like that. I also bought this recently. Now I have not dug into this other than just skimming through it. But this is an adult book, obviously. As I was skimming through it, it's called The Meat Eater Guide to Wilderness Skills and Survival. Obviously, this type of stuff is right up my alley. But it literally shows diagrams of stuff. So it'll show different types of mushrooms. We saw some mushrooms on a tree today. Pointed that out. Iron overload is prophesized. The money power families read. Interesting. I will look into that. I talked about iron overload yesterday. Denise, I'll be completely honest. We don't use that much sunscreen. Somebody shared a link to Beauty Counter. They do have a good sunscreen. But we don't use that much sunscreen. We don't get that much sun here in Michigan. Every so often, if we go on a trip or something, I usually end up getting a new sunscreen almost every single time because it's not often that we get to go on those type of trips. So other than that, we can kind of ease into the sun in Michigan since it's not very strong UV rays. So even at the hottest days, it's not that strong. So anyways, so I bought this book and there's a lot of diagrams and stuff. And like I said, I don't know how to pick out different types of trees and that type of stuff. So I know what's poisonous, what's not. However, this thing shows a lot. It shows, and he also has another book. Let me see what it is. Since I've been carnivore, I've not used sunscreen. Yep. That's mostly our diet as well, carnivore. Whenever we go over a friend's house, I'll be completely honest, and I actually am curious who else is like this. When we go over a friend's house for dinner, I do not want, it's great that they make dinner. However, I do not want a 5-course meal, a salad, maybe a steak, chicken, or something like that with pasta more vegetables, all this other stuff. I literally want the meat. Like, that's me. I don't need all that stuff. Do I eat vegetables? Yes, here and there. However, it's mostly meat. I don't need a salad and two different sides of vegetables. Appreciate you making dinner, but I don't need all that. This book was The Meat Eater's Guide to Wilderness Skills and Survival. It's by Stephen Ranelli, which I hate that his show is now on, I think it's on Netflix now. I'm The Meat Eater show. But I just got that book and I'm looking forward to his new book. It's called, let me see, I just brought it up and I'll share it. Outdoor Kids and an Inside World, getting your family out of the house and radically engaged with nature. Our kids nowadays are radically engaged with indoors and with tablets and all this other stuff. We need to get them back to nature. If something really, really were to happen today, how many people would be able to survive? I'll be completely honest. Tim Pool talked about it, that, he saw these shortages and stuff coming for, he saw these shortages and stuff coming for the last year or so. So he's been buying, food, like, the dehydrated food, like survival kits, that type of thing. And we talked about canning the other day on After Dark. So I'm definitely going to be going more into that. I'm learning that along with you guys. We're going to hopefully get a seminar and stuff up and running for that, because I think that would be an awesome skill. And there's a lot to learn with it that I learned the other night that I was like, holy crap, I knew nothing about most of this. So anyway, he bought this food and people were literally making fun of him for buying extra food and stuff like that in case of an emergency. And the people that are mostly making fun of them, like saying, oh, this isn't going to happen, are city people. There's people in, take New York for an example. New York is takeout. You can barely even, cook in these 300 square foot houses or apartments, I guess you would say. Everything that I've ever seen about New York is mostly takeout. New York pizza, New York bagels, New York Chinese. Okay, I get it. The cuisine's probably pretty good in New York. Is it healthy for you? Probably not. However, those people would not be able to survive. They laugh about it because they don't think that they would ever need that. However, not one of those people, those would be the people coming to your farm and taking your food. Those would be the people ransacking grocery stores and the houses and stuff because they don't know how to survive. They don't even cut their own grass. How are they going to know how to take care of crops and plants? So I think that it's very important. Right now we are growing sunflowers. Just bought one of those little sunflower kits. Wanted to show my son how easy it is to plant, which we do our seedlings and stuff every single year. But we've never done sunflowers, and I think something like that is super cool. We're going to take the seeds later, roast them, all this other stuff. Live in upstate, way upstate New York. Neighbors doing one thing, we're growing other things. We have ducks, others have chickens, all preparing to work together if need be. Now that's awesome. I'm at like New York City. I'm sure you put two and two together with that. That is awesome though. It's the same in my neighborhood. And I just found out that my community is doing a communal garden this year. You can get a plot and, you talk with your neighbors of, hey, I'm growing this, this, and this. And then you can trade. I have a bunch of tomatoes. Do you have extra zucchini? I grew watermelon. Do you have pumpkin? That type of stuff. So I definitely think that it's so important. And like I said, this is the type of stuff. You don't need a curriculum to teach your kid about the parts of a plant. You don't need to teach your kid. You don't need a curriculum to teach them how to plant seeds. I understand that planting, Dr. Jen and stuff was talking about this the other day, that, she has no clue where to start, what's the pH of the soil, and don't overthink it. If your plants die, okay, that sucks. But it's a give and take type of thing. A bunch of my plants died last year. I didn't realize how wild pea pods got. I have snap peas. I love snap peas. It's one of my favorite vegetables, actually. Very high in starch, so wouldn't suggest eating them all the time. However, when growing, they grow up vines. And anybody that's ever grown green beans and snap peas, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They get crazy. So when I did that, they started to choke out my other plants and to move them. Um, I barely got squash and cucumbers, zucchini last year because a bunch of those vines got wrapped up, and my pea pod plants literally choked a bunch of stuff out. My number one thing for planting is check your local weather stuff. Like, when is the last frost supposed to be? When is this supposed to be? Start your seedlings when you should. Last year, I started my seedlings too early. It was way too cold to go and plant them, and a bunch of them ended up dying before I got them in the ground. You don't want to have to go to Lowe's and buy tomato plants, Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. You don't want to have to go to these places. Those are all sprayed with pesticides. So don't do that by any means necessary. Try to get the heirloom seeds and all this other stuff. Don't, even their seed packets are usually GMO seed packets. They're not organic. So I just wanted to share that. It's very, very easy to unschool your kids. You just have to get out of the school mentality of yourself. Your kid does not need to sit there for 7-8 hours a day. I would say, oh, I only teach my son, a few things a day, but we're literally always together other than when I'm on this. And even then, you guys see him pop up because he's used to being around me. He wants to hang out with me. So someone posted the other day that Home Depot is spraying some of their flowers with a chemical that kills bees. Yeah, definitely. Um, uh, Natasha can probably go into this more because she's now beekeeping. I love the idea of local honey. Local honey helps cut down allergies so much. One of the biggest things when you're pregnant and, when the baby's born and everything, they always say, oh, baby under 12 months shouldn't have honey because of the bacteria and stuff. Guess what? They actually build up tolerance to that type of stuff. That's why it's good to introduce things slower. Um, most of the kids that were introduced to peanut butter now, I wouldn't suggest because it has molds and most peanut butter is loaded with sugar and stuff like that. However, if you were to do peanut butter or something, more kids are more unlikely to have an allergy to that type of stuff if you introduce it earlier. On top of the parasites and everything that are actually causing the allergies, and the toxins. But just actually do your research because they literally cross off so much stuff. Unpasteurized milk, unpasteurized yogurt, all this other stuff. But anyway, back to the honey. Natasha was talking about she's now beekeeping. I have a slew of different types of hornets and bees at my house. Now, we don't want to kill them. We're not spraying stuff. However, it has become a problem. So we do need to do something. I bought these non-toxic like sticky traps, which already has a crazy amount of mud daubers on them, and carpenter bees, that type of stuff. Now some of these things are really mean. So people can say, don't kill them, they're in their environment. However, one of a paper wasp literally built a nest within the 2 panes of my son's window in his bedroom. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Can you tell him what we found today? What'd we find on the nature walk?
Where we found.
Tell him. What kind of bone was that?
A fish bone.
Yeah.
We found a fish bone.
And what was growing on the tree?
Mushrooms.
Yeah. Those were big, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of animals did we see?
A goose.
Mm-hmm. And what
Turtles.
we did see turtles. We saw lots of turtles.
And a snapping turtle.
And a snapping turtle that he named Bowser.
Mm-hmm.
What does Bowser eat?
Strawberries.
Strawberries. And what else?
Worms.
Worms. Yup.
But I don't like to get...
You didn't like the worm?
Yeah, I like strawberries on my hands.
Okay.
But I don't like worms.
Can you tell them one more thing? Tell them what beavers do.
They chomp on wood like this.
And what do they do with the wood? What did Mama say?
They chewed on the wood.
Yeah, what did they do to... Why do they chew on the wood?
Like, let me get on your lap.
Okay. Real quick, just tell them, what do they do with the wood that they chew? What do they build?
They build a dam.
Okay. Don't scream into the mic. They can hear you. They build a dam. And what does the dam do?
They protect themselves.
To protect themselves, because that's where they live, correct? Okay, please don't mess with my microphone like that. Okay, you want to go play? Mama's almost done. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
Look, somebody said, hi, kiddo. Hi, Bradley. Look, she put, what is that dinosaur?
Yeah.
What is it? Can you see what kind of dinosaur that is?
It's a T-Rex and a Brachiosaurus.
Yeah, see? All right, go play.
She knows I have dinosaurs.
She knows you love dinosaurs. So, I did that on purpose. Usually I shoo him away a lot quicker than that. However, that's exactly what I do. Ask those type of questions. You know, even those dinosaur emojis that Cam knows my son loves dinosaurs. Even those dinosaur emojis, you know, that type of stuff. What kind is that? You know, are they herbivores or carnivores? What do carnivores eat? What does that consist of? You know, is cow meat? Is, you know, today at the science center, we were feeding those turtles. I'm very sorry that my phone is going crazy right now. I think it's the people for the website. Sorry. Anyways, the science center, we were feeding these animals. Hi, Dr. Lisa. We're feeding these animals and the strawberries and the worms. I asked him, you know, what are they eating? Does that make them carnivores or herbivores or omnivores? What is considered the meat? Is the strawberry the meat? And no, he knew that the worm is. So it's literally just stuff like that. Yes, learn to live without money. You know, you should be sovereign, you should be self-sufficient, you should be able to know this type of stuff, and those are just skills that are so great to pass on to our kids. However, I do think money is a great tool to teach your kids math. I don't know if you guys realize everybody has a change jar, I'm sure. Nobody likes to keep change in their pockets. I have a change jar. It is what it is. We dump that out, and that is how he has been learning to count by fives, by tens, you know, by 25 even. And once again, something that's so hard for people. I don't understand why fractions are so hard for people. Maybe it's the way that they teach it in school. Money is great for fractions. You have a $5 bill. Okay, you have 5 $1 bills. You know, 1/5 of that $5 bill is a dollar, you know. It's really, really not that hard to break down. And I think that it just helps kids so much when you do stuff like that. But you have to meet them on their level. You know, if your kid has no interest in doing certain stuff, do not have them do it. We made slime today as well. I hate slime, just so you guys know. But when we do stuff like that, at this center, they had this table and it was, you know, water, Borax, Elmer's glue. But you teach them, okay, why did this chemical reaction happen? Why did the Borax make it get all rubbery and that type of stuff. So I really wanted to break it down because, like I said, so many people overthink it. Just do it. Just ask questions. Learn some stuff along the way yourself. When you grab books like this one, and you actually learn stuff, because if you want to take a nature walk and be able to point things out, you're learning along the way too. But I think it's so important. Nature has so many lessons for us, and eventually, you know, it goes back to nature's the foundation of everything that we should be doing. We've been dealing with one of the companies for supplements, and we've been telling people, like, don't do this for formula, don't do this for this. Can you ask Daddy for me, please? Thank you. I'm almost done, okay? I'm almost done, okay?
Very full.
No, I'm almost done, okay? Anyways, what was I saying? These nature walks, we were talking about the supplements. You want supplements that get you as close to nature as possible. We were talking about baby formula, and people still think that, the corn syrup and stuff is okay. Oh, these kids are fine nowadays. Never mind that corn syrup isn't even the same as it was 80 years ago. Get as close to nature as possible. What's natural for a baby? Breast milk. If you can't do that, goat's milk. Like, this type of stuff is getting back to nature, and we've fallen so far from it. And I'm just a huge advocate for nature. Every single thing teaches us so much, and we need it. We need the nature. So we have to learn to take care of nature. Somebody said, I highly recommend the logic of English. That handsome and smart child deserves to learn the logic of English. I will look into that. We learned a little bit of Spanish the other day. We were there was some kind of song, and I started speaking in Spanish as well. And so we looked up the lyrics, and I was teaching him what each word meant, and just little things like that. It's really not hard to be well-rounded. Now, is there going to be subjects I have no clue about? Yes, and my husband's usually good at the subjects that I'm not. So, like history, geography, I'm terrible with geography for some reason. I can do north, south, east, and west. However, when it comes to where is this country in regards to our globe, the flat earth, wherever, whatever you want to say that it is, I don't care. However, I have no clue in correlation where these things are. So that is my lesson for today. Do not overcomplicate things. Anybody have any questions? There's not that many people on today for being a Friday, but I get it. Dr. Dean's been gone all week. You've been listening to me all week or past shows. I completely get it. So, this is where we are. Random question. How do I find out the status of my full moon protocol order? You ask me, which they were all shipped out. Hold on just a second. Wrong one. Maybe this one? A bunch of them were just shipped out the other day. So if you didn't get it today, you're probably getting it tomorrow. So just so you know. But you can message me, Meg. I can definitely look up yours specifically and get a tracking. If you did not receive a tracking, you should have received a tracking from Renee. It is a beautiful sunny day in Michigan. You're in northern Michigan. It is a beautiful sunny day here in southern Michigan. I watch food videos in English, Spanish, and Italian. Depends on what I want to cook. That is really cool. That is a good idea. Um, I've never been one for like cooking videos, but I feel like that's really beneficial because you see a steak, you know it's a steak. So if you can learn the words in the other language. So baby is fussing. So where should women get or find formula? Um we've been sharing the Weston A. Price. If you go to Weston, just type in Weston A. Price baby formula on Google. That is one of the best uh, recipes that we have found if you have to use formula. Um, Let me go through this by saying I was one of those moms that, people would tell me breastfeeding's better. This was with my son. This is before I knew anything. People would say breastfeeding's better. I had absolutely no interest in breastfeeding my son to the point where I didn't even try. I pretty much automatically assumed like I wasn't able to breastfeed because of everything that happened to me in child delivery, being diagnosed with eclampsia, almost seizing, that I went straight to formula. Wouldn't even try to breastfeed. They try to get a lactation nurse in and talk to me. I said, I'm not interested. Thought it was really weird. So I went to formula right away. And then after working with Dr. Mama Bear, I realized, I thought it was milk-based formula. No, it has soy in it. So that is one thing that is not good, especially for boys, because soy is high estrogen, glyphosate, GMO, all that other stuff, all fed to my son when, it's a brand that is trusted and given to hospitals and stuff. They put your baby on it straight from out of the womb. So obviously, I'm breastfeeding with my daughter now. I have learned, but I still see people say there's a lot of moms out there that can't breastfeed. And I will never call a mom lazy for this because like I said, I was that mom. But when you learn why you can do this and the benefits of it, to me there really is no other option now. If I have to do the Weston A. Price, formula thing for any reason, that's one thing. But as far as, I wasn't producing milk and all this other stuff, that's you. That's your body, toxins in your body that aren't allowing that to happen. It's not something that just happens. Our were created to do this. Your body was created to even have that. Yeah, adoptive mom, I completely get. I get that. Um, Absolutely. But when I mean like when you have the baby, your body created that baby, your body is supposed to work properly to create that milk. And like I said, I'm never going to judge a mom to say like, "Hey, I formula fed and stuff like that." I was that mom. So, just try to get the healthiest stuff possible, and you're not going to find that on the grocery store shelves. You're not going to find that made in one of these huge processing plants. Like I was talking about earlier, closer to nature. Closest to nature as you could possibly get. We need to get back to that. So, yeah, your milk never came in, but knowing what you know now, if you would have done work and gotten your body healthier and all this other stuff, detoxed if you had to, you probably could have. And I'll be completely honest, I was in the dark with breastfeeding. Completely in the dark going into this. I was like, okay, am I going to make enough breast milk? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? My milk almost dried up because I had pumped so much and like wanted a break. I know it seems people said somebody said earlier that I make having a newborn look easy. It's there's always challenges. So my milk almost dried up on me because I had pumped so much and I like wanted a break. So I was handing a bottle to my husband and saying, "Here, okay, guess what? If you're not feeding and not having that skin and skin and you're not doing this, your milk will start to dry up. It's a good intake type of thing. So I learned and I talked to my midwife and stuff like that. Like you can get it restarted. Most women don't know that. At 4 to 6 weeks, they think that if it starts to dry up, then they're done. But it so complete 180 from my first to my second kid. And like I said, I would never judge. The only time I judge is when you learn the dangers and you still continue to do so. So, for the people out there that are defending corn syrup and evaporated milk for formula recipes, you know better, don't do it. For the people that had vaccinated their kid and something happened, you know better, don't do it. So, someone in a Facebook group shared that 1960s recipe, and I told them that wasn't good to make that and shared a Weston A. Price recipe, and I had been attacked big time. I don't even reply to them. Let them be sick. I just feel sorry for the babies. Exactly. It sucks. It really sucks because so many people, and you have pediatricians out there saying don't make your own formula and stuff. Well, what do you want babies to do? You want them to starve? You know? Tim Cass was talking about this, that you need to go back to wet nurses. I That's a hard one for me because I personally would never trust somebody else to feed my baby and take care of my baby. It's the same with school. I would never entrust my baby with somebody. Um, I would never entrust that they're going to care for my baby the way that I do. So, do I know that they're eating cleanly? Do I know that they're not smoking? Do I know that they're not drinking? Do I know that they haven't been vaccinated? Those are all things to think about when you take donated milk and wet nurse. Like, it's very hard for me to trust somebody else to do that type of stuff. So, I understand milk donations is a great thing. The biggest issue I'm seeing with this formula stuff, and somebody said it on the Nova Patriot page, working in NICUs and stuff like that. Most NICU babies aren't getting breast milk. I wish that they would give them the opportunity to do so, but when they're feeding them through a tube and stuff like that, it is formula, and a lot of these patients haven't been able to get it. It's going to our southern border. So, like I said, I talked about all this the other day, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's a huge issue. I understand that formula isn't great. However, a lot of our society relies on it, whether we like it or not. So, we don't want these kids suffering more than they have to. Um, they're going after the kids, guys. You thought it was going to be as blatant as vaccines. Well, nope. Now it's formula, the constant sugar, you know, CRT and indoctrination of the alphabet mafia in school. Having hard Irish twins, 19 months apart. Tandem breastfeeding was interesting. I can't imagine that. But kudos to you because I literally thought about that the other day. Like, how would you do one? And then they also say not to express your milk or anything like that when you are pregnant because it can put you in early labor. So how does that work? But is that a lie? I don't know. But these are my questions. These are my type of questions now that they've lied to me for years. So I think that it's great that so many people are wanting to do better. I understand people's heart behind it when they're sharing that 1960s recipe and saying, if you can't find your formula, here's a recipe. Don't let your baby go hungry. However, people like us are awake enough to not do that and give them better options. That's the best part about being awake is being able to help others wake up to this stuff. So I said that with Trump. He once said, "They're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in their way," when they attacked him constantly. And I think back at that and they're not even after us, they're after our kids. So now it's not just Trump, it's us parents that are in the way. That's why they deemed us domestic terrorists for not wanting CRT in classes. That's why, they lie constantly. They're not after us, they're after our kids. They don't want us reproducing. And now that we have reproduced or are still reproducing, they're trying to stop it in every way possible and trying to diminish everything that we've done. So I don't know if you guys know this. And let me see if I can find it really, really, really quick on this note. So you have the Pfizer document saying that breastfeeding after the vaccine isn't recommended. It is very dangerous. And then you have the formula shortages, which has a lot to do with the plants being closed down and all this other stuff, not to mention they're giving it to the border. And then you have Bill Gates. Good old Bill Gates. You guys probably know where I'm going from with this. I'm going to see if I can bring it up really quick. I got to find it on Twitter. Okay, I think I found it. If you have not seen this, this is what's going on. And tell me this isn't planned, because we all know at this point that this is planned.
5 states, including Texas and Tennessee, have less than 50% of formula available. And with supplies running low in 25 other states and here in D.C., the dwindling supply has many parents worried. We get more now from CBS's Janet Shamlian.
Empty shelves across the country, and some retailers are limiting purchases to prevent hoarding. Baby formula last November was 11% out of stock nationwide. Then it got worse, 31% by early April, and most recently, jumping to 40%.
5 states, including Texas and Tennessee, have less.
Sorry, that just talks about the shortage. But in case you aren't up to date, Bill Gates invests in artificial breast milk. So that is what he's pushing now. You can't tell me that this wasn't planned. I was trying to find like the major stuff. Okay. Let me see. Where did that go? Sorry. Okay. Bill Gates' climate change investment firm bets on lab-produced breast milk. Biomilk is targeting infant nutrition by attempting to reproduce mother's breast milk in a lab. The startup has just earned the backing of the world's top investors by raising $3.5 million in a Series A funding from a Breakthrough Energy Ventures Bill Gates investment firm focused on climate change. The co-founders hope that the breast milk produced by Biomilk from culturing mammary epithelial cells will help reduce the carbon footprint from the global infant formula market. So, Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods are the two best-known companies disrupting the food sector. We all know that that's garbage stuff. We don't want this. Do not let this happen. It's bad enough they're giving formula. Do not let it happen to where they're going to start giving biomilk. Dear God. Could this be a message to parents to breastfeed their children? I hope so. Mr. Man Moves just needs to stop. I agree. Yep, control the children and you can control the adults. The thing is, they don't care what we think anymore. And this is the problem with, this is why the school boards and everything were so important within the past few years. They don't care what the heck we say. They don't want us homeschooling our children. They don't want us teaching our children. They're indoctrinating the children for a reason. The next generation, if they have the next generation, they'll be good going forward. How many kids the last few years graduated and are now going to be voters coming up? And the kids in college that, Even if a parent teaches them, they send them away to these liberal colleges and they come home and the parents are like, who is this kid? I have no clue. Don't know how this happened because you literally sent them to an indoctrination camp. That's what you did. So when you send them to the indoctrination camp, don't be surprised when you don't recognize your kid when they come back. That's all I gotta say about that. So they're one generation away from having, all the TikTokers, all the college people, all this other stuff. You may be able to reproduce a gland or whatever, but you cannot reproduce the innate intelligence of the human body of the mother. Correct? And they're also, I don't have anything up today. I'm sorry, because we had our little field trip. Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry guys. My son was over here again. So, I don't have this up. There is also I don't know the word for it. Okay, I'll just talk about it. I saw it and I will have to find the articles. However, they are now going to try and put a uterus and ovaries in a male. Like, well, it is a male. However, it's a male that turned female and wants female body parts and wants to carry children. So, this is their latest science experiment. If there was anybody playing God and messing with nature, that would be it. It's ridiculous. So, that's out there. This fake bio milk is out there. We need to guard our kids as much as possible. With that being said, my kids are calling me constantly today. Both parents are home, so they want our attention and they want to go have fun and learn some more. So that is what we're going to do. And I'm going to wrap this up. So I will see everybody later. Go help and serve. Don't overthink homeschooling. Literally, like I said, it's just a matter of asking questions and breaking things down to the simplistic level to where your kids can get it. I'm also ready to move to another planet. I've been saying for months, bring on the aliens, come and get us, because it's a sad state of affairs. But I think that if I don't want to say unplug, but if we take our kids out of the system, we get back to nature and we get back to all this, I think that there's going to be enough of the generation that we can build our own civilization doing it the right way. And that is the point of it. It is Friday. I believe Dr. Dean will be back on Monday. So there is that. You guys all have a great weekend. Go help and serve. Get back with nature. Love you all. Bye.